Byron, what's up, dude? Hopefully you've got some choice Pokemons to fight me with. As long as you don't have like Landorus on your team and you don't turn this into a 6-0, you've got Garchomp. Never mind, this is a 6-0 for sure. For sure. And if you've got Groudon. Why? Byron, why are you doing this to me, man? Okay. Nice.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
Oh, Byron, come on, dude. You only lost Groudon. It wasn't that bad. Let's go. I got it. That was a lot quicker than I thought. A lot quicker than I thought, actually, hilariously. I had already counted them out with that Groudon and the Garchomp, but they... Let's go. Dedenne, the MVP. Such a dangerous Pokemon. Dangerous Pokemon. Under the right conditions, I feel like every Pokemon can be really, really dangerous. Right? You just have to find out what those conditions are. So, for those who don't know, Mas y menos is a hilarious little... There's a little pun, little play on the words there. Oh, well, actually, it's plus or minus. Mas means plus in Spanish. Menos means minus in Spanish. And there is, I don't know if you guys know, but I'll show you in the YouTube video. There's a hilarious little, it's a pair of twins, and they're Teen Titans, so they're part of the DC comic universe. And they're superheroes, and one of them's called Mas, and the other one's called Menos. Or actually, I think those are their superhero names. I'm not entirely sure. It's called Mas y menos because their powers, like, together, they're super strong because one of them has, like, positive power and the other one has negative power, and so it makes, like, this cool electrical... Anyways, not the point. Same concept, though, right? Every single one of these Pokemon has minus or plus as their ability. And what plus or minus does, for those who don't know, I'll also put it in the YouTube video, it basically is a free choice specs on any Pokemon that has the same ability, either plus or minus, and they're out on the field at the same time. So, since this was a doubles-oriented team, and it's supposed to be for doubles, right? Like, this does not work in singles at all. But, since it works for doubles, when I send both of these Pokemon out on the field, they're already ridiculously strong. Because with them having those, they essentially choice specs their special attack stat. Which is really, really useful for everybody on the team except for this Toxtricity right here. I made this Toxtricity physical, max speed, max attack, because I didn't want to be specially walled, right? I didn't want a Snorlax to come out there and completely bone us. I didn't want a Chansey or a Blissey to go out there and completely screw us over. So I made this dude. Let me go just explain him from the top. So this Klinklang is my leftovers Klinklang. He's actually a defensive Klinklang. So if I'm not mistaken, I ran max special defense and then split speed and HP on this Klinklang. Klinklang is a really interesting Pokemon that you can do a lot of things with, and this was just one of the things that I ventured to explore. I made it super tanky, maxed out its special defense so it could eat up special hits. It's already pretty decent on the defensive side. I think that's its highest stat if I'm not mistaken. It's pretty fast for a steel Pokemon. It's not a slouch in speed whatsoever. It's got good attack, good HP. The only thing that's really not so good in is special attack. But it's not like a really low stat. It's just not as good. And I made it just focus on being as defensive as possible and as supportive as possible. So another cool thing that's specific to the plus or minus abilities are specific moves. Those moves are Gear Up and Magnetic Flux, or Magnetic Flu. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Regardless, these two are specific to the plus or minus ability. It literally says it in the description. If you don't have the plus or minus ability and you use these moves, you're not going to do anything. It doesn't have any effect. So I had to include it on this team. I had to showcase them. They're super cool. So let's start off with the Klinklang build. Gear Grind, it's classic, it's classic signature move. Pretty good double hit move that has a pretty decent base power, and when it hits twice, it's pretty good. It's not bad at all. I just had that on there so that it wouldn't be taunt bait, so that it could have something to attack with, and it wouldn't just sit there and not do anything. Shift Gear was there to complement the Gear Grind and make it super fast, so it could be a super fast supporter, but at the same time was also giving a little boost in attack so that it can hit those Gear Grinds even harder. Gear Up is super cool. Gear Up is a move that when it powers up with a plus or minus Pokemon, it boosts their attack and special attack all at once. So all of the plus and minus Pokemon on the field get a boost in their attacks, which is super cool. And the Magnetic Flu is the opposite of that. Every Pokemon that has plus or minus on the field gets a boost in their defenses. So defense and special defense. Really, really cool. Really, really cool. I had to bring it in there. It says relaxed nature, but I actually gave it a careful mint to make it a careful nature, just to give it that extra boost in special defense, because I know Heat Wave and Flamethrower would body it most of the time. holy crap, like I said, this was the one physical Pokemon on this team, which I choice banded, and it didn't really matter that it had plus or minus. I would have liked to have a different team, but I wanted to keep everything, you know. And right, it was there mostly to support its teammates, right? So if I had one plus or minus Pokemon on the team, I had to have two so that they could both benefit from them, or at least one of them would, right? I wanted to include both kinds of Toxtricity too as well. I wanted to do that really badly, so this was the perfect time to do that. This is actually Gigantamax. I love the versatility of Gmax Stun Shock, where it could either poison or paralyze the opposing side of the field. It's super cool. Once again, max attack, max speed. Its speed isn't that great, but its attacking stats are ridiculous. They're really, really good. I just had to kind of carefully maneuver it as best as I could because I knew it could get easily bodied. Like I said, if a ground type Pokemon so much as sneezed at this team, it'd be over. Which is why I laughed really, really hard at that ground on clip that I show you guys in the YouTube video. Really funny. So he was here so that we wouldn't get special walled. So I just gave it 4 attacking moves and a choice band, and it was the dedicated Dynamax or Gigantamax. If it needed to pivot moves, I just Gigantamax it up and then throw it in there. G-Max or Max Knuckle would be huge because it would boost its attack even more. So then when it became small again, it would just murder. Fire Punch for coverage, Gunk Shot obviously for stab, Wild Charge for stab, and then Drain Punch for more coverage and HP recovery and attack boost. So it doubled. It was a really good move. I gave it an Adamant Mint to boost that attack and make it really pop. This Toxtricity was really cool. So this version of Toxtricity is slightly more bulky than this one, I'm pretty sure. So I wanted to benefit on that. I gave it the Black Sludge for recovery because it is a poison type. I went ahead and I maxed out the defenses for this Toxtricity. I wanted to make it as bulky as possible. All of its other stats were already kind of decent, and I gave it a Timid Mint so they would have at least a little bit of speed. It would have that advantage. It would have that speed advantage, right, over other Pokemon that might have possibly not had that speed advantage. Now, the cool thing about it is that it was actually fairly decent. It did fairly well. It tanked anything that wasn't, as you've seen in the video, anything that wasn't a ground type move, like for example the Cinderace's and Headbutt, it would tank it. So that's super duper cool. I apologize. It already has a huge special attack, and then with the plus or minus ability, it has kind of that choice specs to it. So I gave it Overdrive, just to hit really super hard on the opposite side of the field with a stab move, Sludge Wave to hit really super hard. I gave it Sludge Wave because I felt I had the liberty to run Sludge Wave, which is actually a really cool move that you don't get to see a lot. Sludge Wave is a much stronger version of Sludge Bomb in my opinion. Super cool move, but it spreads everywhere, right? So that means it hits your ally as well. But what it is basically a Sludge Bomb for both sides of the opposing side of the field. And it has a high chance of poisoning them. But I had 2 Klinklangs, and my support Klinklang was there to help this Toxtricity. I actually kind of led with them most of the time. It would be this Toxtricity and that Klinklang. Because when I doubled up the Magnetic Flu, and then this Klinklang had leftovers, and this Toxtricity had Black Sludge, they would be super tanky. Really, really tanky. In one turn, they could become super bulky, and then on the next turn, they would just be murdering things. I gave it the Store Power so it wouldn't be walled, and it had coverage, but not only that, with the Magnetic Flu and also the Gear Up on the Klinklang, its stat boosts would be going through the roof, so we would just be able to hit that really, really charged up Stored Power. Super, super cool. So that's this Toxtricity right here. Once again, Timid Mint, Timid Nature. Main Neck Trick. This was one of my 2 MVPs on this team. Now, everybody played their role, and they did really well, believe me. But the 2 most disgusting Pokemon on my team, hands down, and the MVP is actually Dedenne. For real. But Main Neck Trick was ugly. Okay, so Choice Specs, are you know guys, Choice Specs already gives you a 50% boost to your special attack. But now throw on top of that the plus or minus ability. So now you have an even extra 50% on top of that. So it's super duper nasty. It hits really, really hard. And as if that wasn't enough, I really wanted to drive the point home. And I made this our dedicated nuke. This thing, no matter what it hit, it was killing something because it hit so incredibly hard. I gave it a modest nature to boost that special attack to as high as possible. Max speed, max attack, and the choice specs, and the minus ability. Paired up with the plus or minus Pokemon. This thing would be murdering anything. And then I just gave it 4 special moves to choose from. Whatever it wanted to, it would completely obliterate. I mean, even Umbreons and super tanky Pokemon would be just going down in one hit. Volt Switch is a beautiful move, especially when you're choice locking a Pokemon. Any pivotal move is beautiful when you have a choice Pokemon. Something that's locked into Choice Band, Choice Scarf, or Choice Specs. Volt Switch would provide a really hard hit and a swap out in case I needed it, which actually did come in handy from time to time. Snarl would be beautiful for opposing, strong hitting, special attacking Pokemon, or, for that coverage. Thunderbolt was just a nuke. It was a nuke. Anything that would hit that wasn't resisted, it would be, even resisted hits would be dead like that. And Flamethrower obviously there for coverage, which actually worked really beautifully when the Groudon set up Drought, and it was super, super funny. And then Dedenne was our dedicated pivot. Actually an MVP in not only this battle, but many of the battles that we were in. Shoot, it was the MVP in both the battles that I just showed you. Dedenne was our dedicated speedster, or our dedicated pivot. I actually was supposed to give this one timid nature. I forgot. It still has modest, just to hit is super hard. The reason I think I went with modest at the last second, if I now that I'm remembering correctly, because it was a while ago that I made these teams. I gave it modest because it's already a fast Pokemon. I think its best stat is speed. Everything else is mediocre. And that it really hurts to say, especially since it did so incredibly well. But all of its other stats are really, really just meh, right? They're really bad. One of the Pikachu clones don't really get really good stats most of the time, aside from like Mimikyu isn't technically considered a Pikachu clone. Togedemaru would be the Mimikyu clone of Gen 7. And even Togedemaru got like stats. They were not bad, but they weren't like anything to sneeze at or whatever. So being that it's a Pikachu clone, it doesn't get that many great stats. But what I did is I gave it a modest nature, max special attack, max speed. Slapped that choice scarf on there, made sure that it was the first thing that moved in every match, and the moves were as follows. This was actually our MVP because of Grass Knot. This was one of the only electric Pokemon on this team that had coverage, like actual coverage, not just something that so it wouldn't be walled by ground types. This had Grass Knot, so it could kill ground types. Which is super, super cool. Volt Switch obviously there to pivot, and as you guys seen, it was a beautiful pivotal Pokemon. Dedenne did excellent work pivoting in and out of that last fight. Electro Ball was there because I knew it was going to outspeed everything, courtesy of the Choice Scarf, and it hit really hard because of it. Grass Knot was there for coverage, and obviously especially when a little tiny Pokemon like Dedenne is going up against a bigger Pokemon like Groudon, Grass Knot hits super hard. And Dazzling Gleam was obviously there for a second stab, and it did really well. It covered the other side of the field, and it would hit a lot of these Dragon Pokemon and stuff, and these Dark types as well. Dynamaxing this Pokemon was actually one of the best Pokemon to Dynamax, so I'm just going to say that. And then the last Pokemon on this team is the Klinklang. This one, I kind of got a little bit experimental with this one. I wanted to mess with it. Klinklang's usually always physical, so I ran a special Klinklang. I ran max health, max special attack. I felt like its speed was already decent. Its defenses were already good. So I just gave it as much in HP as possible so that it could have as much bulk as possible. And then a lot of special attack so it could hit as hard as it could with its special side. And it did really well. It almost, and it's still a lot to say, but it almost one-shotted that Togekiss at the end of the battle. Togekiss is a pretty bulky, especially bulky Pokemon, so that was pretty impressive. Its moves are as follows. It's got Lock On, which I paired up with with two things. I paired up Lock On with Zap Cannon so that it would always hit Zap Cannon after that first turn, which was huge because those paralysis would help a lot sometimes. I gave it Power Gem to give it a little bit more coverage, just to hit fire types and flying types and stuff like that. And the Flash Cannon was obviously there as its stab, and it hit pretty hard most of the time. Lock On was also paired up with the air balloon item that I gave it because if somebody was trying to knock it down to the ground so it could hit it with the ground move. It had air balloon. So that was pretty much the Mess and Menos team, or the plus and minus team. It did really, really well in both of those battles, and I'm super happy I brought it to you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I guess I'll catch you guys next time on the YouTube video. TrainerOblivio, check it out.